Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Coto Restaurante here at the beautiful Pato de Andrade in rural Galicia in Spain. Today we're going to do probably the most iconic dish in Spanish cuisine, and by iconic I mean it's done by everybody at home. You know, everybody talks about paella, but actually tortilla de patatas or Spanish omelette is the dish that is done in every Spanish household at least once a week. There are two tendencies with this. One is to do it without onions, and the other one is with onions. That's basically the two tendencies. We're going to be doing with onions because I love my Spanish omelette or my tortilla de patatas with onions. And then also some people dice the potatoes, some people slice them. I slice them. So I'm going to take you through our ingredients. Very simple. We have one large onion that's been peeled. We have 10 eggs, medium size, and we have about 4.5 pounds of peeled potatoes. You can use any kind of potato you like. They all work pretty well. So we're going to start off by slicing our potatoes, and I'll show you the way I like to do them. You want to do them about 1/4 inch thick. You don't want them too thick because when we fry them, we want them to get a nice crisp on them. So now that we've diced our potatoes, and as I said, you know, thin, about 1/4 inch, what we're going to do is we're going to lightly season them. And I like to season both the potatoes and the eggs, so don't go too heavy on the salt at this stage, because you will be seasoning your eggs also, and you get a nice even seasoning through. We're going to start with our onion, and just like we did with the potatoes, simply we're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to slice it thinly. Now, you don't want to get it too thick because you want the onion to fully cook. If not, when you're cutting your tortilla, you'll get strings of onion, and that makes it much more difficult to cut it. Basically, I like to put a lot of onion. You can put less, or as I said, you can leave it out if you'd like to. So we've sliced our onions. We're also going to lightly season them just with a bit of salt, and that's the only seasoning we use for the tortilla or Spanish omelette. You just want a bit of salt. You don't want any other flavors in there. We're going to basically start with our eggs, and what I'll do is I'll reserve, out of the 10 eggs, I'm going to reserve 2 because I'm only going to use the egg yolks from them. A little extra egg yolk, it's really nice for this dish, and all you have to do is just basically crack your eggs, and then we're going to whisk them and season them. So we have 8 eggs in our bowl, and then basically what I'm going to do with this ones, I'm just going to, as I said, I only want the yolk. There are several ways of doing this. You can pass it from the shell to the other, or you can actually just put it straight in your hand and let it go down. And we have our 2. And obviously the egg whites you can reserve to do an egg white omelette or a meringue if you have enough. And there's our 2 egg yolks. Now we're just gonna whisk this until all the egg yolks are incorporated into the whites. And as I said, season with a bit of salt. A couple of pinches of salt is more than enough. So now we have our eggs, and we have our onions and our potatoes, and we're ready to start cooking. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fry our potatoes. So we have our oil at medium heat. You don't want it very, very hot at the beginning. First of all, so it doesn't splash, and you don't want your potatoes just to brown on the outside and not cook in the middle. So we're going to start with a bit of a lower heat. And then what you're going to do now is you want to turn your fire just a little bit, because since you put the cold potatoes inside there, they would have lowered the... And you just want to spread them evenly. And just move them around a little bit so the ones that stuck together will become individual. And this process is going to take about 6 to 7 minutes. So I've turned up the heat now, and once they start frying again, I will go down to medium, and then towards the end, after I put in the onions, I will put it on high again. So now that our potatoes are getting a bit of color, we can add the onions. You can actually saute them separately. I like to put them and cook them with the potatoes so it flavors the oil and you get a nice even flavor throughout. You just want to put your initially your onions just on top and let them sweat a little bit in the oil before you start mixing them in. And same process, just take a little fork and then just spread them out, and we're going to let them sweat at the top for a few minutes before we mix them in. So our onions have been sweating now for about a minute, and you can see they get nice and translucent. And then what you want to do is you want to gently just mix them in with the potatoes to finish the cooking process. And we're going to cook them probably for about 2 to 3 minutes until they're nice and tender. So our potatoes and onions are already done. They have a nice golden color, and we're just going to pour them into a sieve and let it strain for about a minute. Make sure all the oil is out. Now that we've strained them, and you want to add them hot to your eggs, because it will also help start the cooking process of the eggs. So we pour them in, and you can see that nice beautiful caramelization on the potatoes. And what you're going to do is you're going to mix it in with the egg. You can break them up a bit, not too much. And then what I like to do is, because they're very hot right now, I'd like to let them rest there for at least 5 minutes before I finish cooking the Spanish omelet. And what this will do is the potatoes will absorb a lot of the egg. I like a very moist Spanish omelet. Some people like it a bit more dry. If you like it dry, you're going to cook this at low heat. If you like it moist, at a medium heat, and then I'll show you how we cook it and how we flip it. So now we'll just let that rest there for about 5 minutes. So we've rested our mixture for about 5 minutes, and now we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and then, as I said, at medium heat. And we're going to then make sure the pan is nicely coated. Then we're going to add our egg mixture, and as you can see, it's absorbed quite a lot of that egg. And what you want to do is slightly pat it down, and then you just want to go along the sides. This is not for it to stick, but it's just to give it a bit of shape. And we're going to cook it for about 30 seconds to 40 seconds on one side, and then we're going to flip it. Now, to flip the omelette or the tortilla, the best way to do it is with a plate. If you're lucky enough that you have a plate that fits your pan, then that's ideal. If not, it needs to be slightly bigger so you don't drip any oil anywhere. So I'm just going to cover it with the thing, and then we're going to flip it. So flipping it is quite simple. You just put your hand on the plate, turn it, and then you want to put it back on there and back again on the fire. So once you flipped it again with your spatula, you just want to press into the edges just to give it a nice shape. And you can shake it a bit. And again, another 30 seconds, and then we will flip it again. So our tortilla de patatas, or Spanish omelette, is ready. And we like to slice it in a triangle if you're going to serve it as a meal. If you're going to serve it as a tapa, you would then definitely want to cube it and wait until it's nice and cold. And as I said, I like it a bit runny in the middle, which is moist, and then you have a beautiful tortilla de patatas. Enjoy.